poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson.
Welcome, my friend, to the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Brad Wilson. And today I would love to welcome back for a very special round 2 conversation, my favorite tournament director of all time, Matt Savage. If you've forgotten, Matt is the executive tour director of the World Poker Tour and has seen just about all there is to see at live poker tournaments. While recorded only a few weeks ago, this conversation took place before the passing of longtime voice of the World Poker Tour and great personal friend of Matt's, Mike Sexton. Expect to hear some tales of being on the road with Mike, as well as how the Mike Sexton Champions Cup came to be. You'll also want to be prepared for us to close on a somber note, with Matt sharing stories about Ethan May, a WPT tournament director who tragically passed away at the way too young age of 30. In this round 2 conversation with Matt, you'll also learn how somehow, despite there not being any live poker to go around, Matt has less free time than he ever has. What's going on with those WPT final tables that have just been sitting around in purgatory since the beginning of the year? Matt's thoughts on the rise of all of the online multi-table tournament series, and much, much more. So without any further ado, I bring to you the GOAT tournament director and Poker Hall of Famer in my heart, Matt Savage. Matt, welcome back to the show. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. I'm happy to be a second-time guest on your show.
Yeah, you're one of my favorites. One of the people that I look forward to COVID ending for a lot of different reasons. And one of the major reasons are the relationships that I build with folks that have come on my show. And I'm like, I need to get to Vegas. I need to get to these places just to meet people and go have dinner and build on those relationships, you know?
Absolutely. And I know you want to play some more tournaments, I heard. So that would be great if we actually do some live tournaments. I've been listening to all your shows. You're doing a great job. So happy to be a part of it again.
I'm a flip-flopper, but, you know, you can push me over the edge. I go back and forth, right? Like I'll have a conversation with a tournament person, and then I'll be thinking about it and like daydreaming about playing in a tournament. Then I'll have a conversation with Melissa Burr, and she says that she would rather be boiled alive than deal with stallers at the end of a tournament. And I'm like, you're right, you know? And then I'm like, maybe just cash. So I waffle back and forth. But if you're running the show, I'll jump in there, playing some tournaments for you.
I mean, you're pretty close to Jacksonville, right? Not too far. Yeah,
not too far. It's a drive, 6-8 hours, but okay. No big deal.
All right. Well, they've got their poker room open, and they're going pretty strong. So their biggest issue is keeping dealers, in place because they don't have enough dealers.
Really?
So, it's a problem with a lot of the places that are open now. It's just that people are not wanting to go back to work, or not finding enough people to deal because other card rooms are closed. So the ones that are open have been so busy, and having to spread more tables, obviously, because you can have less people at the table. So it's been one of those things that's been going on in the live poker world.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I guess it's a problem for the card rooms too, because you don't want to overstaff, and then things kind of go back to normal, and you got to fire 30% of your new people. And like, it's I don't envy anybody who's dealing with this in any of these arenas. And I've been wondering about you, live tournament director during COVID. Like, are you just like directing your kids and your wife around in your house? Like, how do you spend your time?
Well, to be honest, I've been playing a lot of golf, which has been good. That's been fun. I've made a lot of new relationships through playing golf, just people that have got into it since then, because it's one of the few things you can do, and you can do pretty safely, right? I mean, we haven't had any outbreaks from any golf courses that I've heard of. So it's one of the things I've been doing a lot of. But, with Party Poker being a partner of ours on the World Poker Tour, we've kind of dove into doing a lot of things with them. They have that 100 million guaranteed series that's going on. I've been doing final table commentary, which is something I've never done before, but I hopped in with Jamie Kerstetter and Maria Ho and Tony Dunst and Vince, and all those people have been doing that. There's also Club WPT that I've been working on and doing streams with them. And they even gave me a little segment that I do every week called the Savage Beat. So I've been kind of keeping really busy. And, of course, at the same time, planning on going out into the real world at some point and getting those things started. So a lot of the people that I talk to all the time, like Bill Mason at Seminole Hard Rock and Ben Irwin up at Thunder Valley, and then my people at Bay 101, and, of course, Commerce, where I actually got let go, unfortunately, but still keep in touch with them, trying to make sure that they're trying to get back open as well. So. And it's a tough one because, my friend Ben Irwin, while his room is going really well at Thunder Valley, he's stuck in a spot where he's debating with himself whether he wants to advertise the fact that they're open and really push it to get a lot of people to come in and play. It's really, really a strange time for live poker.
Yeah, it is. And, depending on, I'm sure that there are some dealers who have probably worked at these card rooms for a long time that have family members who are susceptible, that don't want to take the risk and go back to work yet. I mean, it's just it's a mess, honestly. It's just really a messy situation.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like I've been working on the last couple of days. I just had my golf tournament out in California, so it was always like the negotiation of, is it going to be open? Who can play? All this other stuff. Turned out it went really well. Nobody ended up getting COVID out of that, which was great, and everybody's home and safe. We've been back for almost a month now, and that went really smooth and successful. And then, now I'm gearing up for NFL and fantasy football. I'm the commissioner for a couple leagues, and everybody came back, which is amazing. And, we're ready to roll with the NFL. So hopefully that gets going and there's no issues there. But, yeah, it's a crazy world we're living in now. And as you know, things are happening every day and things are changing. So I'm happy to get back out there. But as of right now, it's just not happening.
It's good that you're keeping busy and just wait for the NFL to fail, and then you can't even be commissioner in your fantasy football leagues. That'll be your finishing blow.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. We're really hoping that it goes smoothly for them too. But the sports leagues, and man, it's just every day there's something new. It's really a crazy year.
What's happening with the tournaments that are just paused? Because I know that you had some tournaments that played down to the final table, I believe. And they've just been in flux, these guys just hanging out?
Yeah, so basically we have 3 final tables on the WPT that need to be revisited and played. And, the goal is to do them live at the Luxor at the HyperX Esports Arena here in town. And as of right now, we haven't got the clearance from the Luxor and the Nevada Gaming Board to do so. And, some of the protocols that they were asking for is obviously masks at the table and plexiglass, and currently, it's just something that will not work with our production. And, of course, we want to be super cautious with the players and with our production and with our staff and everybody involved. So right now we're just kind of in a holding pattern. We've been in touch with all the players. We've had meetings with the players to try and to see what they wanted to do. There was some options given to them as if they wanted to make a deal or not. But, one of those things that you have to judge is, if we do those type of things, we do have to crown a champion. So there's been some things we've discussed about that. But also, in addition to that, a lot of these guys still want to play, right? They were all paid 6th place money, so we're hoping that they're all doing okay and financially, and that there's no real hardship. And luckily to the 18 players that have been there, nobody really seems to be too concerned about it. They know that we're going to play the final tables. We know we're going to play the final tables. It's just when and how long that's going to take for us to get all of those things approved. And so that's kind of where we're at with that. It's a sad situation for us. And of course we want to get the players their money as soon as possible, but we just couldn't have anticipated something like this ever happening.
Well, I mean, multi-table tournament players play for the final table, right? This is like the fruit of all the suffering that they deal with in busting out over and over and over again. They get to play a final table. So I do not, hold it against them that they want to play it. They want to
Right.
play it down. It's good that y'all paid everybody sixth place money. That should tide everybody over for a little while. Why can't you just do a bubble? Just get a bubble and like the NBA, make them get everybody tested and just get it done.
It's definitely been discussed. It's something we would probably do, kind of a partial thing where we would test people before the final tables. But in addition to that, we have international players at all of our tables. So that's the biggest hurdle right now is getting people over here. And those guys, by the way, are saying, let's just play it, here or there. Let's just go to Canada or Mexico and all this stuff and do it. And, obviously getting the American players to go over there is going to be an issue as well. So, as of right now, we're just kind of holding on. We're hoping for later this year. And, if worst case would be probably early next year. So I'm hoping that we can get that done. But, it's just such a tough situation. We want to see those guys, promote those guys and have a great final table for them. And of course, have the experience that they, want at the final table with people watching them and things like that. And it was just such a great venue to have a final table when we did the last ones last year. So we would love to be able to repeat that. But as of right now, we just aren't ready.
Has the WPT considered going the UFC route, just buying, an island, Poker Island?
No, that'd be cool.
Fly everybody in.
I'd be all for that for sure. Yeah, it looks like the view behind you. I'd love to be somewhere like that playing poker. That's for sure. I miss those days. I miss the days of the Aruba tournaments and
Ike Haxton with his hair blowing in the wind.
Yeah, awesome. We had to put plastic over the cards so they didn't blow away. The cards were so sticky the dealers couldn't deal, and it was a mess. We had rainstorms. Yeah, just those days were very fun, but memorable for sure. I miss it. I miss the the kind of trouble you get into and things that you have to deal with when you have those kind of live settings for sure.
Yeah, the spontaneity, the problems that you have to solve in real time, the pressure. I'm sure that's may not be a fun part of the job while you're going through it. I can't imagine dealing with rainstorms and sticky cards is fun in the moment, but afterwards, it's an experience.
Yeah, we've had things like that all over the world. I did the first tournament in Macau many, many years ago, and dealing with the gaming board, walking into their office, not even speaking the language, and going there and sitting with the translator to try and get us approved for gaming in Macau. And it was the first tournament ever there, and then did the same thing in Monte Carlo. We ran the first tournament there, and luckily those things all went off successfully. And it's just those experiences in my career have really made what it is today. And I value those times in my career for sure.
And you kind of alluded to it, but I always think of you as the commerce guy, the commerce director, and you're not with commerce anymore. Is that's a forever thing? You're not going back?
It's, who knows? They definitely have canceled all the major series for this year. We usually ran 4 series a year. I've had a really good run there. I've been there 10 years. And created a lot of different events and things that over the years that have never been done before. Things like reentry and, the social experiment and all these other events that, that we put together and did for the first time there that have, really gone out from that one tournament, the LA Poker Classic, and gone all over the world. But, who knows? Hopefully we can get the LAPC back next year, and hopefully I'll be a part of it. As of right now, it's up in the air.
I mean, the LAPC is the second biggest festival every year, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. And I know you played cash games out there at that time. That was probably your sweet spot, right? You probably loved having the LAPC players around, coming down after the tournaments and playing the cash games.
I love the cash games in LA pretty much all the time. And I'll say, too, my favorite time at Commerce is probably when WSOP was running, because all the pros are in Vegas. They're in Vegas playing, and so who's minding everybody else during the week in LA? Well, Brad Wilson is, right?
That's right.
I mean, I've actually played some tournaments at Commerce, especially early on in my poker career, some 1Ks, some 2Ks, just a great venue. I mean, just a great place. For some reason, the Crown Plaza Hotel, I have very fond memories of that whole place, even though a lot of people do not have such fond memories.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I would stay there literally for 40, 50 days during the LA Poker Classic. And I loved it. Being able to get done at work 2 or 3 in the morning, go up and go straight to bed and just, chill out in the mornings and get ready for the tournament the next day. I like that kind of thing. I've never, been opposed to it. A lot of people say, how can you do that? How can you live in one place? Why don't you get a place down by the beach? I'm like, who wants to hassle with the traffic there? It's like no chance I ever want to do that. I was happy there. My wife would come in on the weekends and, stay longer sometimes. And that made it very nice. It was relaxing. It was kind of like working 14, 15 hours a day, but not having to, worry about the pressure of all the other things that come around in life because you're there on site and, just go do it. It was really good. I really love that experience. And I've done it, there and other places. And I love the grind, just like a poker player loves the grind of a long tournament series. I love it on the other side when I'm working those.
One of my favorite things for anybody running a poker room that has a hotel connected to it, like put your players on a board and call their room when their seat is available. This was like my favorite thing at the Commerce. And this is a tip for grinders out there that maybe play at the Commerce. Take care of the floor people and they'll take care of you, especially if you're staying there. Many times I have been just chilling in my room and I get a call and they're like, hey, Brad, your name's up on the list. And I'm like, I'm not on the list. And they're like, yeah, you are. Come down. We got a good game for you. And all it takes is, $20, $40 here and there.
Thanks, Raven.
There you go. Exactly. Another pro tip for all of you traveling grinders out there. I know that we spoke earlier about the WPT and the Champions Cup, and it's the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. Could you tell me how that came to be and what that means to you?
Well, so, in major sports, you have Lord Stanley's Cup, you have the Lombardi Trophy, you have all of those things. Look, Mike Sexton, to me, is the greatest ambassador of all time in poker. Him and Linda Johnson, to me, are, 1 and 1A. When it comes to that, they've done so much for the game. Mike Sexton, without him, the World Poker Tour wouldn't be there. He was the guy that went with Steve Liscombe in the early days and definitely was a guy that, if without him, poker would be so much different. Tournaments would be different. There would be no WPT, in my opinion. He started the Tournament of Champions many, many years ago and put his passion into it and put his money up, and lost money every year when he had that Tournament of Champions. So, without him, saying there would be no WPT. So I think it's just only fitting that a guy like him deserves the honor of having his name on the cup. And from here till forever, once you get that, you're going to be on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup, and his name will always be a big part of the WPT and a big part of poker. So I love that we've done that to kind of, honor him for what he's done for poker.
Setting aside just all the ways that he's made poker better, been an ambassador over the years, was instrumental in party poker at the very beginning, I believe, as well. Tell me, what does Mike Sexton mean to you? Do you have any Mike Sexton stories, personal stories you'd like to share?
Wow, so much. I mean, it's literally, all of the hours we spent at final tables over the years. Now, I haven't always been with the World Poker Tour in the executive tour director role, but early on, I was always a part of those events. We went to Costa Rica together and the Aruba tournament together, and all over the world, I've traveled with him and, been a part of WPT events on the other side, not actually working for the property that was running those events. And so many, many hours of him and dinners and laughs and stories and, the gambling stories that he has, that he wrote about in his book and all things that him and Vince and we used to gamble, just on who was going to finish where and things like that. And just little, fun things, not big bets, but we would just, sweat it out like as if we were playing at the final tables ourselves. And for him to win that tournament at Montreal and put his name on his own cup, I think was like a career highlight for him. He does say that him getting his name as the Mike Sexton Champions Cup is more important to him than even being in the Hall of Fame, which is, a big statement for somebody like that. I mean, I know how much he cares about poker. I know how much he cares about being in the Hall of Fame. And that's something that I think, is going to be a part of his life forever. He's just so excited about having his name there. And, it was kind of like we were kind of in tears when we all met. We had all a big Zoom call with all of our people and friends and put his name on the cup. And he was just so emotional saying, wow, I can't believe this is happening. It was great. It was one of those moments I'll never forget for sure. So I'm happy and honored to have him as a friend. That's for sure.
I've never heard a negative thing about Mike Sexton in my entire poker career, and being immersed in the poker world and community as I have been, that's saying something because I've heard bad things about pretty much everybody at some point in time.
Yeah, I know that's true. Hopefully never about me though.
Nothing about you either, actually. We'll just keep it at that.
All right, good. That's good.
You've heard me talk early and often about how improving your awareness while you're playing cards so that you make better decisions in the moment and notice trouble spots that merit deeper consideration is one of the most valuable things you can do to make more money on the felt. In my conversation with the only 4-time WPT main event champion ever, Darren Elias, he told me that his ability to shut out all of the distractions in the world and fully focus on making great decision after great decision is his superpower he most attributes to his success. And you cannot improve your awareness at the tables without being fully present. When you learn how to stay fully in the moment on the green felt, you can finally have a clear path to becoming the absolute best version of yourself. Which leads me to Jason Su. Jason is one of the foremost authorities on the planet when it comes to playing poker with presence. As a matter of fact, he even wrote the book on it. Here's a direct quote from Nick Howard at Poker Detox on Jason's ability to help you stay focused. Quote, Jason's work is a new paradigm in poker and performance. End quote. And these aren't just empty words. Nick has put his money where his mouth is by hiring Jason to coach up the Poker Detox crew. And as a loyal listener of Chasing Poker Greatness, you know by now that I would not be promoting anything I didn't 100% believe would improve your poker skills and your life. So if you want to master your emotions and perform at your peak with presence while doing battle in the arena, you'd be doing yourself a grave disservice if you didn't check out Jason's work at pokerwithpresence.com. One final time, that's pokerwithpresence.com. So another thing that's happened during COVID, obviously there's no live poker. So online has kind of risen up to bring it, it's risen up as a way for all the recreational players and all the players who are, geographically fenced in a location to play in these online tournaments. What do you make of that? What are your thoughts on the rise of online poker?
Well, I have a little bit of concern because you just see these series, the Party Poker $100 million guaranteed series. And then you have, the GG series, and you have, of course, PokerStars, the biggest of them all out there. And there's just tournament after tournament after tournament. And I worried about that with the live world. I thought that there was, going to need to be some consolidation. I think that COVID's going to cause some consolidation. So I don't think that's going to be 100% negative for the industry. But one of the good things I've seen out of having online poker is that I've seen a lot of names out there cashing and making results of people that I haven't seen around poker for years and years and years. So hopefully when we come out of this, a lot of those people will go back to the live realm and say, hey, I missed it. I want to go back. I want to play and things like that when it becomes safe and people feel safe. But, I always worry about the multiple reentry online and the late registration being too long and the lack of big satellites like they're doing on Party Poker. That's one of the things that I think is great, is that they are giving a chance for the little guy. Like last week on the final table that I commentated, the guy won for $33, ended up winning $500,000 and a seat to the Tournament of Champions. So those are the stories I want to see more of. I want to see a lot more people like that winning life-changing money for a small amount. That's always what I've been about for poker as a little guy. A lot of times people and the pros and all these people say, hey, you got to add more chips and more levels and all that other stuff. And the thing is, the problem with that is that it really affects the ecosystem too when you do that. When you see all these big names winning tournament after tournament after tournament and not seeing those people, the no-name players, the people that you've never heard before winning these events, you kind of are hurting the ecosystem. So that's always been my concern with online poker, and especially now that, it just seems like everybody's doing something. There's, a lot of unregulated sites out there right now I'm sure you've heard of and, maybe even playing on. And it's just one of those things that I'm a little concerned about it, but again, we needed to be concerned about it during the boom too, because, as things didn't work out as well for all those sites. And I just, it's just always been a concern of mine since the beginning of online poker, but I'm a supporter. I think we should be able to play in the United States. We've been fighting this fight for a long time, and I don't know that it's going to change anytime soon. Obviously, there's definitely a lot of things that are out there that are happening, but nobody's really talking about this. But every time I get a question online, every day people saying, well, let's just get online poker in the United States. Can't they see it? They could regulate it. They could make a lot of money. There's just so much other stuff going on in the world that I don't think it's on the forefront of anything coming up.
Yeah, I think it's a law that nobody really likes. I'm not even sure that the government really likes it. It's just like number 1/1,000,000th on the agenda of things to even look at, considering all of the other things that are going on in our country right now. A guy on Twitter the other day, I was talking about unregulated sites, and I tagged Joey Ingram because he's runs security for all these places and kind of blasts platforms so that they nudges them to do the right thing. And so I just made a little tweet and said, hey guys, you either hire better customer support or just pay Joey Ingram for his time for getting this shit done for you. And people get upset. One person in particular was like, hey, if you're playing on an unregulated site, you can't say anything if they steal money from you. And I'm like, well, 92% of America has no access to a regulated online poker site. So what are we supposed to do? Like, what is the option here? Basically try to play on the site that we trust the most and realize that, yeah, it can disappear and they can disappear with all the money overnight. It's a thing that has happened historically and we just have to live with those consequences. But like when people hit bad beats, jackpots, and they're not getting paid, yeah, you go public. You put pressure on them to make it right to the player pool. But I've for sure played on some of the sketchier unregulated apps and stuff like that. I think this is like the wild west. If there was a wild west back in 2006, this is even wilder than that when you have a decentralized player pool with random Joe down the street who's running a home game and like paying everybody out. That is pretty crazy to me that such a thing is really that it's not just happening, but it's incentivized to happen. There's not that many other options.
Yeah, and a couple of them gone south already. So it's one of those things that you just know are going to happen. It's kind of like one of those things. If you're going to play on that, you're kind of taking a risk, and people are willing to do it. I'm not. I'm luckily I have other options for myself. It's not. You're in the
8% in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm in the 8% in Vegas. We have a partnership with Party Poker in New Jersey, which we're doing a lot of things with them as well. So it's one of those things that I haven't been able to really be a part of. But, I would probably play on them too if I, needed somewhere to play. But I understand, and I kind of feel sorry for poker players right now because those options aren't there for them. And, it's one of the things that's why I'm really hoping that we get back out there as soon as possible and try and make it so we can get back to live poker.
You mentioned the buzzword. I'm going to put you on the spot. Ecosystem and GG Poker. What are your thoughts on how things are going down in GG land with, the whole pro issue and Fedor, just all the things?
I don't want to say I understand where they're coming from, but I understand that their platform is doing quite well. I haven't played on it myself, but I hear that it's a very good platform. It's one of those things that, pros and the bum hunting that's going on, I see that as an issue. You've probably dealt with that before, and it even happens in the live games too, right? With the private games and things like that. It's a very tough time. People want to just go in there and play poker. And, with people that, may not be pros that want to play in those big games as well, they're just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I've talked to a lot of these people. They're not going to go play because they feel like it's cheating, even though it's not, because people are waiting for them to come and join the game. And once they do, they jump in the game and all the little tricks that the people that wait and bum hunt have to make sure that they get in those games. It's troublesome, right? So I don't fully blame GG for what they're doing. I think that some of the things that they're doing are probably right, but I'm not really an expert on that as well. So
yeah, I think it is a tough situation, and function follows form. And so if you have a platform and you're paying money for research and development, come up with a system that doesn't allow for bum hunting to take place. Like, come up with a better system where your players can't grim and, just remove all these gray areas, and then it's better for everyone, right? I do very much dislike the statement that they put out about the bad pros, and if we don't take action, then there's not going to be any more poker, while offering carnival games to all of your people. That to me is like, you think we're that stupid? Where you really think we're going to buy that? No, like, what you're trying to say is you don't want the recreational players to go broke to the pros. You want them to go broke playing your silly little scratch off carnival game instead. Like, I don't know. I want to be like, just be honest, right, with your intentions. I guess they don't have to be, because there's really no competition for them, and there's no reason for them to be, which brings me to U.S. poker. And whenever things go down in the U.S., I would really love it if the barrier to entry to enter the market was not so outrageously high that there's like two players in the game, Stars and WSOP. I mean, there needs to be competition so that we can innovate, so that we can improve things. We can have better customer service, right? We can get things done. What are your thoughts?
It's a tough market to crack. I mean, you see Phil Galfond, who knows how he's doing with his site, but he's trying to do the right thing, right? Talks about doing the right thing, but again, just blowing through money, I'm sure, to try and make sure that happens. And it's sad that, you get to a point in that the market is just too tough to crack. And I'm afraid that when it does come back to the United States, there are going to be just a couple sites that are going to be ready to go. And the rest of them are going to be trying to catch up. And, it's, you need the appeal of the site, but you also need the security, and of course, you need all the players as well. So it's a tough one. I hate to see that we can't get this together. It just seems like at this point, almost 20 years later after online poker started, we just can't seem to get it together. And
we're going backwards.
It's definitely going backwards, and it's unfortunate. You would think that with the technology that's out there now that we could do better things, and I know that they're trying. Like I said, I have meetings with party poker guys all the time, and they're trying. They're trying to do the right thing. Rob Young and his group, they just really are trying to get back to poker players. And, how long is party poker going to look at Rob Young and say, hey, come on, let's go. Either we have some results or let's move on. But unfortunately, it's been tough for those that have been trying to do the right thing, and those that aren't doing the right thing are succeeding too. So it's a tough situation.
I was there playing on Party Poker when UIGEA came out, and Party Poker automatically extracted from the U.S. market. And Party Poker was the biggest platform on the planet. And back in those days, platforms could pop up. It was a free market. People were vying for space. There was competition. I just genuinely believe people that are waiting for the next poker boom, it's already here. It's the U.S. market. That's the boom. Access to the U.S. market. Poker will boom again. I don't know if it'll boom forever or how big it'll be, but business will certainly skyrocket if that ever happens. And, Party Poker, I'm sure, will just 5 or 10x their people pretty much overnight, just like they lost most of their people the first time when they pulled out of the market. But, yeah, it's a tough gig, and I don't know. I have no answers. I do root for Phil Galfond. I want Phil Galfond to succeed so badly. I wish I could support him, but he's not in the U.S. market, and right. Party Poker is not in the U.S. Nobody's in my market, so right. I'm stuck on Ignition and Bovada, and that's pretty much what my options look like.
Yeah, and we talk about the boom and things like that, but you have to realize that, look, if they're going to have the poker market got so spread out, even in the United States, in the live realm, where there was a 1K event throughout the country, pretty much every day. You could go find something in your neighborhood, right, where you could play those things. So it just didn't make as much sense to go travel and do a big event where it did in the early 2000s. So like I said, I think there's going to be some consolidation coming out of this. And I think that might, create a little bigger fields for those successful and big rooms that do these big tournaments. And hopefully that is the case. But, I hate to see the small rooms close, but, in some respects, I think it might be needed too.
I feel for the people in the Heartland Poker Tour guys that have a 1,500 in the Midwest And it's like, yeah, those tournaments are going to be very soft. The games are going to be good. No pro's going to fly in for a 1,500, in Kansas City or whatever. But when they have access to like a worldwide population, all of a sudden, yeah, like you can play a 1,500. However, you're going to be playing against the crushers in every single tournament that you enter. So I do feel bad for those kind of geographically fenced in locations that are now subjected to all of the online poker things that exist in the world.
Right. Why should you have to move out of your home state to go live and play online poker? It seems so ridiculous. It really
I mean, I have kids, and I have to see them like every other weekend, right? I guess have to. I get to see them every other weekend. They spend 6 weeks in the summer with us, and like, what am I going to do? Move to Vegas and never see my kids again? I mean, Obviously not. I'm just going to take my chances and play online. Start a podcast and start coaching people, I guess.
There you go.
What's happening, my friend? Coach Brad here, and I wanted to take a moment to tell you about a project I've been working on that I think you're going to love. It's an audio learning pack with 64 tracks that will help you master your pre-flop cash game ranges. It's designed to help you gain confidence in your 6-max cash game pre-flop play while you're driving to work, pumping iron at the gym, or walking your dog, so that you can sit down at any poker table in the world and be confident you have an edge pre-flop. The audio pack is super easy to use. You'll be able to listen to it in exactly the same way you're currently listening to the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. The price is 99 shekels and comes with 2+ hours of audio, as well as simplified versions of 60+ optimal cash game grids for playing 6-max. If you'd like to check out the Preflop Mastery audio pack, head to chasingpokergreatness.com/audio. One more time, that's chasingpokergreatness.com/audio. And now, back to the show. So, no WSOP this year. Well, kind of. I guess it depends on the perspective you look at. There could be many WSOPs this year, but how's your feeling on the WSOP?
Well, it's funny that, people talk about, the bracelets not meaning as much and whatever until they win one, right? And all these interviews of people that have won one are like, yeah, of course it's a real bracelet, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's special to those that win it for sure. And I think that WSOP didn't do anything wrong. I think they did the right thing, right? They made a bunch of money by running these events online, and they're doing, everything they can to make sure that they have these events. So, I kind of applaud them for what they've done. They've really reached out and they've made it international. They've made a local market event where they could still play in Las Vegas. And I know a lot of people that traveled into Las Vegas and to New Jersey to play those events. And, I don't fault them for that. I think that they're doing what they can. I know they want to run live events again. I think that they feel that that's part of their brand. And I really feel like they're going to try and do something later this year. We'll see. I haven't really had any conversations with anybody there, but, there's a rumor out there that they might. And if they do, good luck to them. I hope they do well. I always, even though I'm with the World Poker Tour, when the WSOP succeeds, I think we all succeed. And I'm a big supporter of them when they're in town and during the summer and I'm not working. I'm over there playing a few events myself. I do miss the mixed games, though. I think mixed games are, something that can really help the poker boom continue, as they say, because, there's just so many other games out there. And to be honest, the people that play in those games, probably aren't the best in the world. And they're not games that are solved. So I would like to see more mixed games. And, of course, the WSOP is a big part of that. So, like I said, I support them when they're around. And I think that we should support each other. And that never really happened in the past where, you had all this competition and things like that. But I really wish back in those days that we worked more together. And, hopefully in the future we can.
It's a classic abundance versus scarcity mentality. I see podcasters specifically, they're like, Conan O'Brien's starting a podcast. He's going to cut into the audience. No, dummy. Conan O'Brien is going to grow the market, right? Like if the WSOP has one tournament with 7 people in it, guess what? WPT is fucked. Yeah. The market is dead, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like you want WSOP to be as successful as possible, and they should want the WPT to also be as successful as possible to both, to build both of the markets and make sure that poker is healthy. I do think that however COVID comes to a close, whether it be a vaccine, whether it be some sort of effective treatment, I do think that when that goes down, live poker rooms are going to be bombarded with folks who have been deprived for a long time.
Yeah. You're seeing it even now in Vegas. People are going out and playing, and it's not all young people either. You'd think you'd worry about it with the COVID and being, the older generation not playing. Go look at those poker rooms, those tables. It's pretty amazing. It's like half the population feels like it's no big deal. And the other half people think I'm not going anywhere near a casino until this is over. And so, it's to each his own. I consider it a choice. Like I said, I talk to my friend Bill Mason down in Seminole Hard Rock all the time. They seem to be doing well. No outbreaks in their poker room of their players and things like that. So I think a lot of the protocol and things that they're doing now needed to probably be done before. I think people needed to be a lot more careful about, being sick and being at the card rooms and washing their hands and doing all those things. And I think the masks are here to stay for a while. But, I really believe that those people that are doing those right things and trying to get back open are even going the extra steps of what we've never seen before. And, hopefully a lot of that will continue.
And Matt, before we close down here, I wanted to ask you, and feel free to decline, but a friend of yours passed away very recently, a tournament director.
Yeah, he was a tournament director, floorman for us. Yeah, Ethan May, such a good guy. He was at my golf tournament less than a week before he passed away. Now, Ethan was just a big teddy bear, just a nice guy. He's 30 years old. We had talked every single day at the golf tournament, and he said, "Hey, this is my favorite week of the year. Please make sure you invite me back." Next year was kind of our running joke, and he would ask me that every day. "Hey, can I get an invite next year?" And I'm like, of course, you got to invite. You're in for life. And he goes, "I will never miss one of your tournaments." And then when I got that call on Tuesday morning, I was just like devastated. It was like, I'm getting to an age where people are, dying around me, but that one really affected me for a few days to where I just couldn't function. I don't know why. I don't know why, but maybe it was because I had just seen him and he'd been such an integral part of our golf function that we have every year, but also, the fact that he worked with me at Seminole Hard Rock and, he worked at the World Series. He was always around and he touched so many people. And so many people reached out to me that I didn't even know and told me stories about Ethan. It was just, it's devastating. I talked to his longtime girlfriend, Kate, and she couldn't even form a sentence. And so we raised a lot of money for her and for the family and just don't even know what to say. I don't know how or what, people keep asking me what happened, but I know that he just collapsed. He was playing in a private game, collapsed, and was able to be revived. And just such a tough story. And, it's going to take a while to get over that one because he was just such a great guy. Everybody that knew him loved him. He was very patient with the players. He was patient with the people he worked with, and just a guy you wanted to have a beer with. And so it's very sad. And like I said, I won't be over that one for a while.
So we have a platform here. And we have some time. So you have any Ethan May stories you want to share here with the audience in memoriam?
Most of my stories come from playing golf, and he was a guy that, like, I played with golf with him last year, and he was a beer a hole guy. He would drink a beer every hole, and he said he was going to drink the state of California out of Miller Lite this year. And he called me the first day and said, "I can't find any Miller Lite. What's going on?" And I said, "Ethan, you're just going to have to drink something else." But he, basically just being there. And the guy, he made it a point to come to me the last day and give me a hug and say, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for this time. And like I said, this is my favorite week of the year, and I just can't wait for next year. I'm sad it's over, and so, like we said goodbye, and next thing I know, is getting that phone call. So it's I just the stories for me is basically that he was the guy that we used to joke around all the time with and say, make him eat a salad, and we would take pictures of him eating salads everywhere we went. And we would send him to his girlfriend, Kate, and say, look, he's eating good. He's eating a salad. and then the steak would come, right? So, but yeah, just too soon, man. Too soon, 30 years old.
Well, my condolences to you and Kate, the rest of the WPT family. That's 30 years old is way too soon. Way too soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt, it's been great, as always, having you on the show. Definitely want you back, when you have free time. When you have free time running tournaments, now you're not running tournaments anymore, so you're just busy all the time.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for having me back. And I was just telling, my guy, Matt Clark with the World Poker Tour, who runs our, social media and stuff. Like I said, I feel honored, feel like one of the only guys that's ever been on the show twice. And you do such a great job. I really love listening to your shows. Like I said, you've introduced me to so many new people, and I hope that your coaching is doing well, and that you are being very successful, because you work hard at it. It's obvious. It shows in your shows, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. See you when live poker comes back.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brad.